Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, John Kibler, head currency analyst. In this video, we're going to go through the Forex market wrap. We're going to identify some of the key moves in the week and really speaking, just focusing a lot on the US dollar at the moment. We know seasonally that it's a pretty bad month for the US dollar, and that's following through so far. We've had the first sort of 2 weeks of April being pretty bearish for the US dollar. So we need to identify if that's going to continue, where could that continue from. So I'm expecting this weekly momentum to potentially push price a little bit further down, heading back towards these recent swing lows on the weekly time frame. Now, if I was to go to the daily time frame, just have a little look at this. Why do I think price is going to come back down to this area in particular? Well, it's because the reaction from here in the past has been quite strong in terms of buying activity down at this level. So that makes me think that institutions have been buying in and around this area, which will create a nice level of demand. Okay, and that's where we want to also be buying the market. Now, these demand and supply zones can act as magnets for price. So what I'd be expecting is for price to eventually end up back towards this demand zone through here and buyers step back in again, which would coincide with the seasonal pattern of a bearish dollar through the month of April, then it finding a bit of a low point and then rallying through May. So I would like to see a little bit more downside on the dollar. However, there might be a couple of support and resistance levels in the way. And the first one is going to be where price is kind of at the moment. So if I just go down into the 4-hour time frame, again, from this area in the past, so if I was to highlight this whole zone here, we've seen some very strong buying activity through here as well. Previously, nice rally up, consolidation, continue of that really strong buying. So what we may actually see is a short-term pullback on the US dollar, maybe back into this consolidation zone around about the $92 area. And if price then breaks lower from here, then we could expect a continuation down of this US dollar trend through the month of April. So another bad performing week for the US dollar. Let's see if that continues going into next week. We may get a short-term pullback next week, but we'll have a little look at that in the Forex market outlook. Moving on to another chart that we spoke about this week, Euro US dollar. This kind of coincides with the US dollar index, the fact that we're at a bit of a supply zone on Euro dollar in line with the demand zone on the dollar index. Could be seeing a little bit of downside in this market down to that key support of 118.92. But again, a good strong performing week for Euro US dollar. Looks set to continue. If I go back up to that weekly time frame, very strong bullish weekly candlestick. If it closes like that, it's another strong week. So I would expect maybe some further upside in this particular market. Moving on to Kiwi. So Kiwi was one of our blueberry jam trades of the week. We spoke about buying it out of this consolidation zone up to the supply zone just through here. The reason why we spoke about buying this was basically because of the retail sentiment in the market, and a lot of retail traders were piling in short positions in and around these levels here. That means that usually retail traders are on the wrong side of the market, and they again would have got punished in this move to the upside and into this supply area. Now this is where we could see a little bit of selling activity through here, even if we come back down and retest this consolidation zone for that further sort of long. That's what could potentially be happening here, but have to wait and see with Kiwi so far. It's actually had a pretty good performing week compared to a lot of the other currencies out there. So again, in the Forex market outlook, we'll identify whether there is any kind of further opportunities on the New Zealand US dollar. One chart that we spoke about in the Forex market outlook was the pound Swiss. We spoke about some opportunity to trade this short if we get some decent pullbacks. In the end, it didn't pull back. It did, however, react to this demand zone that we pointed out. We said that if price was going to react from this area, we'd expect a bit of a pullback. We were looking for a pullback into 127.94, but it just didn't occur in the end. However, it came up into this sort of level here around about 127.54, sorry, and reacted from that point. So pound has had a bit of a weird week in terms of, it's had a bit of a mixed week. 1 minute it was very much down, and now it's starting to turn around a little bit. So this is a reason why we're kind of seeing this consolidation on pound Swiss. We've got the Swiss franc at a bit of a dollar Swiss at a bit of a demand zone. So lots of buying and selling going on with the Swiss franc. Pound is very mixed, got a bit of a range here. So we'd need to identify whether we're going to break out to the downside or break out to the upside to identify any kind of trades and opportunities through here. There would be a heavy supply zone up in this area. The only reason we know that is because look at that strong selling activity from this area. That to me would suggest that there is been a lot of institutional buying and selling going on at this point, so it wouldn't be surprised to see this price back up in there for another short. So I hope you enjoyed the content this week, and I will speak to you next week. Have a great weekend.